Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Good morning, dear devotees. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Make Japa Great Again. And today I'm going to start with talking about the power of sankalpa. And I'll share my screen just for a moment. Excerpted from the Brihat Bhagavatamrita about the power of sankalpa. My dear boy, whatever you desire while chanting your mantra, by its power you will fully achieve. Indeed, you will attain more than you desire. Commentary. Before performing any religious ritual, including the chanting of mantras, one should solemnly formulate one's sankalpa, intention, either verbally or mentally. In most Vedic sacrifices, one can expect one's sankalpa to be fulfilled only in the indefinite future, most likely in the next life. But by the blessings of his guru, Gopakumar's specific sankalpas would all be quickly realized, as we shall see as his story continues. So solemnly formulating sankalpa is like aiming your arrow before shooting it. And as is mentioned, it should be done to develop a determination, which means a firmness of purpose, a resoluteness. It's the process of establishing something exactly, typically by calculation or research. These are necessary to aim when we're chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, to aim ourselves as the arrow towards Krishna. And solemn means characterized by deep sincerity. When we solemnize something, we're doing it duly, and we're doing it very formally. So it's not casual. So before chanting, if you clearly establish your purpose for doing it, you will gain immediate momentum and get in the mood of doing it. So this sankalpa is recommended, and I just ask all of you, if it's possible, to take just a moment right now. If you happen to have a pen and a piece of paper close by, you can try this experiment, because it's a very useful exercise, and that is, just in one sentence, write down your main purpose in chanting japa this morning. You don't have to overthink it, but from your heart, with your determination, write down why you're chanting the japa this morning. Don't worry that it's perfect. Just notice that it helped you to focus your attention on your chanting. And now that you've written something, you'll receive the power of the sankalpa, that is, the ability to aim yourself while you're chanting, and you'll be able to get some special momentum for the chanting process this morning. So now we'll begin with our sankalpa in mind. And you might want to read it one more time just to keep it firmly in your mind. Take what you wrote and place it in your bow and arrow. And when you're chanting, you can consider that you're shooting that arrow or shooting yourself with that determination. And we can begin with chanting the Panchatattva Maha Mantra 3 times and then the Hare Krishna mantra. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare 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 Krishna.
Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare. Sorry to break your samadhi for just 1 second, but it's purposeful. I want to also bring your attention to some a mode of prayer that Srila Prabhupada recommends when chanting, or at any time, actually. In setting sankalpa is really a kind of a prayer, the purpose for which we're performing the japa, praying to Krishna. And in the form of personal prayers, a devotee I know many years ago used to write a prayer on a small piece of paper before he'd start chanting his japa, and then he'd place that on the altar. Had a small home altar, and he'd place that on the altar, and then throughout the time he's chanting japa, he'd be thinking of that prayer. This is an excerpt from a section of the book called Raja Vidya. I'm not sure if any of you have ever seen it. It's a small book, but in it, there's a section in which Prabhupada describes a way that we can pray to Krishna, and I find it very helpful. So I'm going to read it to you now, and it's something that you can think about when you're chanting, the mode or the mood in which you're chanting. In personal prayers, somehow or other, however, we have fallen into this material ocean, and as the waves toss, we suffer. Actually, we have nothing to do with the tossing waves of material miseries. We must simply pray, Krishna, please pick me up. And then Prabhupada goes on to say, in addition to giving and receiving in the execution of devotional service, one has to submit to Krishna whatever distress or confidential problem he has. He should say, Krishna, I am suffering in this way. I have fallen in this tossing ocean of material illusion. Kindly pick me up. I understand now that I am simply put here as if thrown into the Atlantic Ocean. I may not in any way identify with the Atlantic Ocean, but I am subject to the tossing of the ocean. Actually, I am a spiritual spark, a fragmental part of you. So this is a way that you can also set your sankalpa through prayer. If you take that prayer, which is very powerful, just tell Krishna how you're suffering. And he mentions, although I know I'm not part of this ocean, I'm not meant to be here, I'm a spiritual soul, still I'm being tossed. So why not submit to Krishna? He's the only one who can listen and then actually give help to us, pick us up from this ocean. And it makes it much more intense when we chant with this kind of purpose. I'll be back in 1 minute.
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram.
So just for 1 second, 1 second of Brahma, I'd like to hear any of your experience chanting with Sankalpa, or any realizations you had by writing down your purpose before you started chanting.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So this was definitely very effective, and we could, I could relate more, connect more to the holy name, because as you mentioned, put yourself into the arrow of the determination and offer to Krishna. So every mantra, and also you mentioned this, that prayer was always like a connection, and that was very lively, and we could take, I could take shelter of Krishna more in that. That was very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing that. It's been proven that when you write down your intention for anything, it makes it more concrete. What to speak of chanting Japa? Who else had an experience that you can express?
Hare Krishna, Guru. Oh, sorry.
Hare Krishna. Prema, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Yeah, that's very powerful, because if we have the target, so we can see where we are shooting our arrows. And also makes me remember the analogy that one time you shared with us when you were in Japan and you were seeing the people fishing, and how the mind, and the hook, and how the mantra is very powerful to attract the mind, and then catch it, the fish of the chanchala mind. So that's made me remember that when I was chanting and focus in my sankalpa.
Thank you very much, Prema. Yeah, and we might think that when we put our sankalpa there, it's like putting bait on the hook, as we really put our heart more into it. And we have Sukeshri and then Subhadra.
Subhadra Mataji was first, Prabhu.
Oh, okay. Subhadra, please go ahead, and then Sukeshri.
Usually I start out with a real high-minded ideal, and then I get an anxiety because I know I'm not really that sincere. So I end up just trying to submit and hope that Krishna will take away my material desires, and so I can hear and chant the holy name sincerely. I just try and calm down and hear the holy name.
That's a helpful realization, Subhadra, and that's one of the reasons I brought this up also, because anyone can feel suffering or realize that he or she is being tossed in the ocean. And if you look at this kind of prayer here, where Krishna, we're saying, Krishna, I'm suffering. I've fallen into the tossing ocean. Kindly pick me up. That's a very visceral kind of a prayer. And it's instead of, I mean, if we put a very, very high-minded purpose and then we find some cognitive dissonance where I think like, well, that's not me. How about relating to the fact that I'm just totally fallen. I'm the runt of the litter. I've been left behind and I'm just getting creamed here in the material world. Krishna, please help me. Please help me. That could be helpful too, right? Thank you very much. Sukeshri.
Well, I really like the point of writing it down. I usually have Sankalpa, but as I wrote it down today and it was in front of me, every time I went away, it was like in front, I could actually see it. And then again, I would get it back. So it was super helpful to write it down, I felt.
Yes, and this devotee I know, he had a nice little piece of paper. It was dignified the way he, created these little chits. And then he would write on them with nice handwriting his purpose or his prayer to Krishna, to the holy name, and put it on the altar. Then he kept all those. And it makes the process more conscious and deliberate when we can do that. You can look at them later and think, yeah, actually, I have been doing something. Let's take a couple more.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Danavari.
Thank you. Please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Srila Prabhupada. I wrote to clean my heart and take my anartha away. And then when I was chanting, I was really feeling it. Please help me. And I like the point when you say, pick me up from this ocean, the suffering ocean, and please help me. That really, really helped me. That like to concentrate and to connect with the Supreme or whatever I'm chanting. I could focus better and feel it. That please, I'm suffering, and that way I really like that point. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for sharing. That's an easy emotion to get in touch with. I am suffering. Please help. Malini.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhu. What made me, when I wrote it down, it made me realize my helpless.
We have some cross information coming through the line right now. If somebody could help with that, go ahead, Malini. If you're listening and you're not talking, please mute. Even if you're chanting, your chanting's beautiful, but we can't hear Malini.
Prabhu, what I felt was when I wrote it down, I could realize my helpless condition more. And I felt that when I chanted this time, I depended more on Krishna. And that's why I writing it down really helped me to clarify my intentions and then put them, as you said, as on the arrow like that. Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. So I recommend get a little notebook and just keep track of your intentions, prayers, sankalpas, and things like that. And if you try making a little piece of paper and you can put it on your altar when you offer. And before we go into the next section here, let's read together this prayer that Prabhupada's put before us. I'll say and then you can repeat. Krishna, I am suffering in this way. I've fallen in this tossing ocean of material illusion. Kindly pick me up. I understand now that I am simply put here as if thrown into the Atlantic Ocean. I may not in any way identify with the Atlantic Ocean, but I am subject to the tossing of the ocean. Actually, I am a spiritual spark, a fragmental part of you. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivastava. I'm just going to summarize what we went through this morning in Make Japa Great Again. So we talked about Sankalpa and the power of Sankalpa. I read from the Brihat Bhagavatamrita, this astounding statement. Remember that Krishna's name, Namachintamani Krishnas, it's transformative. And he fulfills all our desires. He's fulfilling the desires of every living entity. But when we become directly involved with him through his holy name, every desire we have for performing service, he will somehow arrange for so that we can have our heart's desire in serving him eternally. So this is the statement: my dear boy, whatever you desire while chanting your mantra, by its power, you will fully achieve. Indeed, you will attain more than you desire. So Krishna's name is Vanchatita because he fulfills the desire of the devotee more than he or she can imagine. And then in the commentary, before performing any religious ritual, including the chanting of mantras, one should solemnly formulate one's sankalpa, intention, either verbally or mentally. In most Vedic sacrifices, one can expect one's sankalpa to be fulfilled only in the indefinite future, most likely in the next life. But by the blessings of his guru, Gopakumar's specific sankalpas would all be quickly realized, as we shall see as his story continues. So this is one of the ways to make japa great, is to remember that sankalpa is very powerful. Aim yourself. And then we discuss this prayer. Prabhupada writes in the Rajavijaya, somehow or other, however, we have fallen into this material ocean and the waves toss, we suffer. And as the waves toss, we suffer. Actually, we have nothing to do with the tossing waves of material miseries. We must simply pray, Krishna, please pick me up. It can be that simple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words. Krishna, please pick me up. In addition to giving and receiving in the execution of devotional service, one has to submit to Krishna whatever distress or confidential problem he has. If any of you have any confidential problems, offer them to Krishna. Just give your heart to him. He should say, Krishna, I am suffering in this way. I have fallen in this tossing ocean of material illusion. Kindly pick me up. I understand now that I am simply put here as if thrown in the Atlantic Ocean. I may not in any way identify with the Atlantic Ocean, but I am subject to the tossing of the ocean. actually am a spiritual spark, a fragmental part of you. So that gives something practical, and that's immensely powerful to form our sankalpa and our mood before chanting. And the last word goes to Sukeshwari Devi
The
Dasa.
word is from Hansapriya Prabhu. She's not able to come in, so she just wanted me to share. So she mentioned that she would usually write down Suswagatam Nama Prabhu, and then start chanting. And she says that even there are days when she does not write it down, still she actually remembers the sankalpa. So she was mentioning that when writing down a sankalpa, it just remains in your head for a few more days. So then when she tends to forget again, she would write it down. I mean, she meant to say that writing down is the best thing. She should write down every day. But then she was mentioning that even if she didn't, it would still remain in her head. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing Hansapriya's realizations. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll be back here to go into some Shastra in just about 20 minutes. Great to see you all for Japa, and see you soon. We'll be missing you for the next 20 minutes. We'll be back soon.